which is to stand at all times to defend the welfare and protect the integrity of Nigerian students at our respective campuses. And secondly, how you have actually sincerely, holistically x-rayed the issue in context. Now, several questions have been raised, but let me talk of those ones and dwell on those ones that I feel that borders on government and borders on assurance. My brother from UB made mention about promises made and what effect is making, what contribution government and the university, what contribution government and has to the area of great Professor Yayi. Then my other brother spoke about, the zonal coordinator spoke about victimization of student union government and role of government to ensure that they are protected. OAU spoke about the way forward, which is equally restricting and requesting government to see how they can have an extension to the deadline of the date that has been given, which is for the December 4th. Then my brother Lavzi spoke about, well, it is not for us to know who is taking issues to public domain, to blackmailing or who is not doing blackmailing, and why government is equally the release of funds to authenticate if these funds have actually been released. And you equally spoke about us signing for an act for non-victimization of students' union or students in their respective campuses. Brother you'll be Boni, brother from the other part of the Nigeria, equally requested us to talk about, not that about calling them out to campuses and the problems, but genuineness and commitment is one of the paramount issues. Now my brother from the University of Benin about government and NAN's contribution to the burial of late Professor Ibayi. I'm sure that if you are sincere to yourself and true to the Nigerian people, you will find out that the Minister himself of Education led government delegation to the house of late Professor, and government making contribution in whatever form is not a contribution that should be made or be sent to public domain. It is not a contribution to win sympathy or a contribution that is made to score any point, but it's a contribution that government is duty bound to fulfill to every citizen of this country, and particularly a high-class citizen of the person of late Professor Festus Iyayi. I equally personally visited that house alongside the Speaker of the Student Union Government University of Benin, the Secretary of the Zone, and several other Student Union Government leaders too. And the President of NANS equally too demonstrated that, I think when he contacted, they said he cannot go into the family because the family was going out of town to pray for them. I feel there can be no other demonstration of sympathy, no other demonstration of condolence that can return the life of our late professor. But the truth remains that the Vice Chancellor himself should have been tired on how people have been calling him to condole with government and the people and authorities of the university. So I feel so strongly too that you must know that even if government has made any contribution, the contribution is not to be made public. Contribution is not a public domain. Now, promises made, what effect is it from government as in regard the December 4th? And for the purpose of clarity, somebody stated something here that should have been taken into seriousness. Universities have been granted autonomy. Now, I'll give a liking instance like the Student Union Government President holding a congress with institutions with faculty presidents in your campuses, and the resolution is reached. The president of the student union is duty-bound to read the resolution of the Congress to the students of the respective institution. And the autonomy of the university enjoyed today is that they have the pro-chancellors and they have the vice-chancellors. Government do not have an interference on who becomes vice-chancellor of any university like it was before. I think the pro-chancellors, the vice-chancellor meet, and their resolution and resolve is that the university campuses be declared open on or before the 4th of December. The Minister of Education is duty-bound to carry out the resolution of that Congress and that meeting. But even the constitution that we refer to as Nigerians and even as union members in our respective campuses declare clearly that the Congress is the highest policy-making body. And if the Congress make a resolution, that resolution is binding on all her members. So for the purpose of clarification, there is no contradictory statement between Mr. President and the Honorable Minister of Education. The President in his statement, if I can quote, is that if suddenly that the death of Professor Iyayi is now being what they have said that falls in line with the date that has been given, he will go back and check. And it was not that he said that the decision that was reached was a decision that was taken by the Honorable Minister. It was a decision that the Congress, which constitutes the Pro-Chancellors and the Vice-Chancellors, discussed. Then again, as regards the funds released on the 100 billion and the 30 billion, there is no way that the money that has been released by government will be handed over to ASU. They did not employ themselves, they were employed constitutionally by government engaged by their vice-chancellors. And it therefore means the vice-chancellors, and in one of the meetings, checks were given out on how the first infrastructural development phases will kickstart. I don't feel that a government will give out a check when they know that the resources have not been made available. The Nigerian public should be informed that government have met all the promises they have made on this issue presently. The president is committed, and that is why he could give his 13 hours to discussing this issue. And the president has equally stated clearly, if they have not agreed, there was no reason for them to have said they were going to meet with their members and get back. It means there was an agreement that was reached. And they said let them meet. They met in Kano, and from the information in Kano that a larger percentage voted for the immediate call-off and the suspension of the strike. So there are certain things I want us to dwell our hearts on clearly, because the future, like I've always told them, my brothers and sisters, lies in our hands more than in the hands of our elders. The Lamsis equally spoke about signing an act of non-victimization. Well, government cannot tell ASU to sign an act for student union government, because ASU demanded from government to sign an act for them, to protest them. The student union government, too, you can go back to your respective campuses and seek that an act be signed that will protect you. But like I've said times and times, it is only unfortunate that most times the public do not actually know what our student brothers complain and suffer. I was on NTA Tuesday Live on one occasion, and we're pondering on this same ASU issue. The question I ask is, they will always tell us that in their time they closed the school, in their time they did this, in their time they did that, in their time they did this. ASU members will be on campuses when school fees will be increased. The union president will mobilize the students to resist the increment of school fees. ASU will be witness to when they will constitute panel that students will not be represented to decide over the welfare and the just reason on why students would have protested for reason why they have shown their demonstration of rejection for either hike or neglect of any administration led by vice chancellors, rectors, or provosts of respective institutions. ASU will be a member of such committee. ASU will witness the dissolution of constituted and democratically elected student union government. ASU will witness and superintend over the expulsion of student union governments. And all these things you are requesting government. The part that government can give an assurance to Nigerian students is that all our campuses will be adequately protected. Government cannot go far to dabble into the issues that concern students' unionism. The Inspector General of Police immediately equally released that all students should go back and they have the fullness of assurance that their campuses will be adequately protected. And so I feel that my brothers and sisters students, you go back to your campuses and conduct yourself with a higher sense of maturity and decency. If you have any issue, this office is not an alien place to you. At all times, I speak to you more than any other sector of people I speak to. So if you have issues that are genuine issues, issues that you have not taken laws into your hands, these issues, be rest assured that you will be protected and you will be guided. Now, the issue of infrastructural development, like OE equally mentioned, and how government can assure them of this. Government demonstrated this by the release, even when ASU had not called off the strike, 100 billion was released. And the other 200 billion they are talking about, the terms upon which this money will be released is already itemized. Now, like I stated earlier, even if $1 trillion is released tomorrow morning, you can't go to sleep and find these infrastructures in our campuses. It will all take a gradual process. The decay we have found in the educational sector today did not just start yesterday. They have started over time. They have built up to where it has gotten to a stage today that it has befallen our future. And so it therefore means the Nigerian of our dream is a joint responsibility that will be built by all. Government, ASU, and students. So I appeal to you, my brothers and sisters, return back to your campuses with all sense of maturity. While on the part of us too as union leaders, we appeal to ASU not to look at the deadline of December 4th given by government as a threat, but only as a sign from government to show that government is passionate and government is desirous of having our campuses open. And to all you, my brothers and sisters, that may have any other question to ask again, this office is for you. My numbers are there for you, and you can reach me at all time. May God bless us all. The PRO can give us a contact transfer.